Great morning, you guys. Come on in. Come on in. While you guys are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and share. So bear with me. Great morning. How y'all doing this morning? God is so absolutely amazing. Come on in. Let me know who's here and where you're tuning in from. Let me know who's here and where you are tuning in from. Y'all, why do I feel like it's super early in the morning? It's not, but it feels like it. All right, all right. Hey, Jackie, Georgia in the house. Yes, the G8. Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. That's that delay. Oh my goodness. So you guys, hey Antoine. Yes, North Carolina in the building. I am behind time. Y'all see my eyes. You know, I think my allergies are acting up. So I was a little congested and I'm just tired. I've had a lot going on. A lot's been happening. It's been amazing, but it's been a lot. So today is going to be a real chill day for me. Real chill day for me. Listen, you guys, I was talking to God about what to say, and I had some things that I thought I was going to talk about, and he was like, nope. So he said, who said? Ask him who said. Thank you, Antoine. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So who said? Who said? Like so many times in our life, we will operate on things as though they are truth, as though they are factual. But who said? Who said that? Who said that you couldn't? Who said that you weren't good enough? Who said? And the truth of the matter is, many times the people who said it, they can't say that. They can't say that. I know yesterday when I was preaching, I was talking about the observers and the bystanders in our lives, right? So we have people who are observers and bystanders, and that's what they do, observe and bystand. They are lookers and lurkers, as I call them, lookers and lurkers. They're looking and they're lurking, they're looking and they're lurking, they're lurking and they're looking, but they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything in their life, but they can tell you everything that you need to do in your life. That's problematic for me. How can you tell me everything that I need to do in my life when you're doing absolutely nothing in yours? That's a problem. That's a whole problem. So what we have to understand is we've got to be willing to ask ourselves the question, who said? Who said? Who said it had to be done like this? Who said you couldn't do it? Who said that you weren't qualified? Who said whatever it is that's playing in your head? Who said it? Where did it come from? Everything that has held us back came from somewhere. Somebody said something, something happened. There was a message that we got somehow, whether it was directly or whether it was inadvertently. We picked up a message and that message resonated with us. It stuck with us. We began to take it deep in our spirit. We held on to it over the years. People have reiterated that same message to the point that we believe it to be the truth. But who said? Who said? I know when I look at my life, because that's all I can do is look at mine, right? All I can do is look at my life and look at my life and the things that were said, right? So I remember growing up, and I tell this story, right? I remember growing up, and I remember my auntie, my Aunt Sue. Y'all know I'm from the country. My Aunt Sue said, "You fast just like your mama." Who said? Something about that stuck. It stuck. It stuck in me. It stuck with me. It stuck. Now, she wasn't saying it to be mean. She wasn't saying it to, she was simply making an observation. She was saying, this is what she was saying: your behaviors resemble your mother's behaviors. Now, listen, this is where we have to be careful, right? So when we say your behaviors are resembling so and so's behaviors, look at so and so's results. Do you want those results? If you don't want those results, you might want to re-examine your behaviors, right? We don't tend to do that though. What we tend to do is say, you just like so and so. You just like so and so. You just like so and so. And so what happens is the person begins to believe they're just like so and so, and whatever path so and so took, you taking that path. You find yourself on that path. You find yourself going through the same things. You find yourself repeating patterns. You find yourself, right? Because you just like. But who said it? And why did they say it? And just because they said it doesn't make it the truth. The truth is, while there's similarities between me and my mother, rightfully so, I'm her seed, right? There are also great differences between the two of us. And though I was on the fast side, I was fast. I ain't gonna lie. I was fast. Whether I was fast before or after, or what was said to me, that I was fast. Okay. Though I was fast, there were some things that I knew that I had to do differently from my mother, right? So I knew that I wanted out of Russellville, Kentucky. Now, no shade on Russellville. Russellville was a great place to grow up, right? A small town, you could walk from one end of the town to the other. Everybody knew everybody, everybody helped raise everybody's children, Like, there were some great things about Russellville. I take nothing from it. Like, I wouldn't trade my growing up for anything, right? But I knew I didn't want to stay there because I saw the life of many of the people who chose to stay there. Their opportunities were limited. I knew I wanted more. I knew there was more out there, and I wanted to go find it, right? And while my mother did some traveling, she found herself still kind of, in Russellville. Now, listen, I love that I can go home and see the majority of my family in one spot. Like, it makes it easier for me. But I just knew that I wanted something different. And I was the one who wasn't afraid to go. So, while other people were like, I don't drive on interstate, I'll be ready to drive on the interstate. Because who said you can't drive on the interstate? Who said the interstate was more dangerous than driving in town? Who said that? Who said that you have to be limited by the experiences of those who've gone before you? Who said? Who said that you couldn't break out the box and create a whole new entity that ain't even box shaped? Who said? I'm just not scared of that. I'm not going to say that I'm fearless. There are things that evoke fear from me, but most things not. The crazy thing? The thing that has evoked the greatest fear response in me is destiny. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? The thing that I should be striving for is the thing that probably has evoked the greatest fear response from me. And I'm not going to say the greatest fear. I'm going to say the greatest fear response, right? Because fear is rooted in response. What is your fear response? So my fear response to destiny is pull back. My fear response to destiny is shrink. My fear response to destiny is to not go all out, go part of the way out, but not all the way out. Because if I go all the way out, what happens if I go all the way out and I still don't get there? What happens if I go all the way out and I get there? Then what? because it's tapping into an unknown space. See, anytime it deals with the unknown, it can make us anxious, right? Now, anxiousness in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. Really, what anxiousness is it can be perceived as and relabeled as excitement and anticipation of something new. I'm excited and in anticipation, right? But anticipation means that you're looking forward to it. Anxiousness means that you're not looking forward to it. But listen, this is what I'm going to tell you. It's time to relabel your emotional responses. You have the ability to relabel your emotional responses to situations. You know, there is a theory of emotions that says that, you know, we experience these physiological responses, we interpret them, and then we give them a label. When we label them, that's when they become whatever they are. That's why so many emotions trigger the exact same physiological response, but because of our conditioning and what we have known in the past, our schema says that in this context, when you experience this physiological reaction, it is this emotion. We create the label for the physiological response, which determines what the emotion is perceived as being by us. So if we have the ability to create the label for the physiological response that we're experiencing it, why not label it the positive thing instead of the negative thing? Why is it that we automatically will go to the response that quote unquote is the response that you get in that situation? You know, it's because it has become a pattern. It has become a natural pattern. Our neural pathway automatically says, oh, you feel this, that must be this emotion. Oh, your heart is beating fast and it's dark outside, you're scared. Oh, your heart is beating fast and you're around somebody you're attracted to, that's love. That's attraction. You know, oh, your heart is beating fast and you just ran a race, that's exhilaration. Y'all understand? It's the same physiological response. In fact, if you were hooked up to an EKG, if you were hooked up to a blood pressure cuff, if you were hooked up to a pulse monitor, they would all probably register about the same thing, but it's perceived differently depending on the context of the situation, what the emotion is. But who said that it's got to be that emotion? Who said? Who said? Well, you know, when I was growing up and this happened, that's what that was. Okay. Okay. Who said it? Well, Big Mama them said that da 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 da. Who said it? Big Mama said it. You know, Big Mama said it is what? The truth. We've got to begin to trace where these things that we believe come from so that we can look at them and address them and figure out if it is accurate or inaccurate. The truth of the matter is, people used to say a lot of things were in the Bible that are not in the Bible. It's not there. Find it. Cleanliness is next to godliness. You know, the Bible says that cleanliness is next to godliness. Where is it at? We've accepted so many things that have been passed on to us, not passed on with any ill intent or malice or anything like that, just passed on. We've accepted it as truth, as reality, as what is. But this is the truth. The truth is that there are things that we've accepted as our truth and our reality that benefit us not. Then why are you accepting something that doesn't benefit you? It doesn't cause you to grow. It takes you in the opposite direction from where you're trying to get to. Angel number 122. In fact, it is a barrier and a block to you getting to your destiny, and yet you continue to accept it and repeat it and regurgitate it. Not only do you tell yourself that, you tell other people that. Who said? Who said because you dress a certain way, that means that you're a certain type of person? Who said? Well, society says. Well, you know, they say. Well, who are they? And does society determine everything about your life? And is society right? Just because society says it or people say it, angel number 133, doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's accurate. It doesn't mean it tells the whole story. It doesn't mean that. But we get so caught up in what's said that we forget to ask the vital question of who said. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Who said? Who said? We have all of these societal norms, these cultural mores or morals or beliefs that may or may not be accurate, but we have adopted them as ours, and then we try to force them on other people, and other people ask questions that we don't ask. Why? Because we've always been raised like this, taught like this, so we just accept that as fact. It's true. This is what it is. But who said? I have always kind of been big on violating norms. I'm a walking norm violation, okay? Um, I don't fit in. I think differently. I am willing to explore the world. I choose, because it's a choice, I choose to examine life for myself and see what I want my life to look like, regardless of what people may think. That's why I can have been married as many times as I have without giving up on love. I didn't give up on love and I didn't give up on marriage. What I was challenged with was beliefs about what you should do. Thank you, Antoine. I know that's right. Hey, Mardan. Hey, Corey. Hey, April. Hey, Prophetess. How you doing? Look, y'all, look. I just want y'all to get this. I want y'all to get this. Ask yourself questions. Don't be afraid to ask yourself questions about why you believe what you believe and where did it come from. Who said? Who said? Now, listen. This just me. This may not apply to anybody else, but for me. I love when people can just be them. I love that. Like, I love it when people are different. Like, I love when people embrace their difference. I love it. I love it because for me, um, when you can just authentically be you, it takes more courage than to look like everybody thinks you should look or act like everybody thinks you should act. Let me give you an example. Now, I know to some church folks, this may sound strange, but one of my favorite female artists is Cardi B. Now, y'all say, Cardi B? She be talking about what? She be talking about that girl nasty. Yeah, I'll give you that. But let me tell you why she's one of my favorite artists. She didn't rely on someone else to just get her there. She literally funded her own demo. She funded her own demo. It took a while for her to do it. She did what she needed to do it. She was a stripper. She was in the strip club. She was. She did some things that probably might have been a little unethical. She probably did. But she owned it. And she owned her. She didn't wait till she had perfect teeth to say what she had to say or to be seen or to show up. In fact, she showed up when her teeth was jacked up, talking trash. I'm like, ow! You know what I'm saying? Oh, Listen, before her teeth were fixed, Cardi was Cardi. Before she had the money, Cardi was Cardi. She knew who she was before she got there. She already knew. So everything came because she already knew. She was operating in big chick energy. That's what I'm going to say. She was operating in big chick energy. Like she knew her presence was large. See, this is the difference between, and I'm not talking about spiritual beliefs, any of that. This is the difference between a Cardi B mentality and the mentality of most of us. Most of us are afraid to even be who we really are because we're afraid people aren't going to like us. We're afraid to go all out because what if it doesn't work? Me, right? What if I go all out and it doesn't work? What if I go all out and I get there? Then what do I do? Like, what if I really get to where God has shown me? What happens? What happens to my relationships with the people that I'm connected to now? What happens to, like, what happens? What happens to what I'm comfortable with? What happens? Cardi went all out. And for all the problems that she and Quavo have, the situations, it ain't no different from no other woman. The truth of the matter is most women have been in situations where they with the man done cheated. Like that's not new. That's not new. But I love her tenacity. I love her willingness to show up. I love that she just did it. When are you going to show up? It's not a hypothetical question. I'm not asking figuratively. No, seriously. When are you going to allow you to show up? Regardless of what anyone thinks or how anyone feels about who you are. When are you going to show up? I made a decision that I'm showing up. People can be sick of me, but I'm showing up. People can get tired of me, but I'm showing up. People can think I'm too much, but I'm showing up. I'm showing up, and I'm showing up in the fullness of who I am. Listen, I ain't trying to become what nobody think I should be, but God. You hear me? Because let me tell y'all something. We try to create these cookie cutter images where everyone's the same, but that ain't God. Don't operate like that. That ain't God. God has given us diversity. Why? He needs us in our diverse facets, communication styles, ways of living, to be able to go out and to be an example to those who can see and hear what we got to say. Hey, brother, how you doing? He needs our diversity. Listen, God told me clearly, I'm sending you back into the church to set some people free because they're in bondage. You know how many women are in bondage in the church? I'm talking about in bondage to what they think church should look like and they should look like in the church. Like bondage. Bondage to what's always been bondage. So this is just the truth. There are certain people who are not going to go into the church and become that. So they become outcasts. And people in the church look at them and they turn their nose up and like, why they dressing like that? They trying to get my husband. Listen, boo, don't nobody want your husband but you. And you don't want him half the time. So why would you, come on. I remember being that woman in the church. Hell, I'm probably still that woman in the church. But I remember being that woman in the church. I'm there to really worship God. But I'm finna be cute. I'm not getting ready to automatically suddenly change how I dress and who I am. Now, if God say change something, I'll change it. And he's done that. He said, I want you to do this. I remember one time I was pastoring and God said, you can only preach in blue jeans. I said, what in the what? At your church, you can only preach in blue jeans. Now, when I would go out, I would be able to put some other stuff on. But when I was at my church, I had to preach in blue jeans. He said, because I want the people to come in and know that they're okay, however they come in. It's one thing for you to say it and you suited and booted. It's another thing for you to look like, oh, wow. Oh, she got jeans on. Oh, wow. Now, everybody preaching in jeans. Listen to me. Let me tell you. I just thought about it. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Listen, let me say this. God has always made me do stuff before everybody else, and then people start doing it. I'm not saying they're doing it because of me. I'm saying that he will make me do a thing before everybody else starts doing it. Why? He needs to know, can he trust me to be a trendsetter? Can he trust me to be a forerunner? Can he trust me to do something that he tells me to do because he said to do it, even if it don't look like everybody else think it should look? I remember a man of God had a dream about me. He's a prophet. He had never met me, but he was close to a friend of mine. And I guess they had said they were talking about me or something. He said, listen, I had a dream. I need to talk to her. Okay. So he had never met me, hadn't seen a picture of me, didn't know what I looked like, none of that. Right. So the man of God called me, told me what God said to him about me, what he saw in the dream, what God said. And God said, da 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 da. And God said, you're anointed to da 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 da. And God said, he's called you to da 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 da. And he said, God said, your anointing is a peculiar anointing. It's an unusual anointing. And it is peculiar. My anointing is peculiar. It's very peculiar. It shows up peculiarly, right? And some peculiar things happen, okay? So he goes on. So he comes to my church, right? Comes to my church. I meet him, got my jeans on, and they fit. Got my jeans on, talking to the man of God. And I can see by his face that what he sees in his mind doesn't match what God said. What he sees doesn't match what God said in his mind. And he's trying to figure out and reconcile, because it has created what's known in the world of psychology as cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is when what you believe and what you do don't match. Or when two things don't match, right? It doesn't match, and it creates this break. You're like, that don't go together. Like, what do I do with it? And either you got to change what you believe or you got to change what you do, right? So here I am violating the norms that he's accustomed to, because he came from, a Pentecostal apostolic church. The women wore dresses below their knees, and they only wore dresses, you know what I'm saying? Or they only wore dresses to church. Listen, I was violating stuff. Y'all, this is why I show up authentically. Look, let me tell you this. I don't go out of my way to offend people, but I'm going to be me. Angel number 133. I'm going to be me. And I'm going to be me unapologetically, because I'm sick of apologizing for how God created me or the assignment that God has given me. And I know that there is purpose in everything that God tells me to do. There is purpose in it. It is purposeful. Even in this season of my life, I'm in a different season of my life, right? I'm in a different season of my life. I'm in a season of my life where, I'm real extra feminine. I'm talking about I'm extra feminine, extra vulnerable, extra, like more than I've ever been in my life. More tapped into my feminine energy, more dialed in to my femininity, more dialed in to that side of me. Now, I can give you big chick energy, right? I can do that. I've done it. But look, it's work. So when I allow myself to just be a girl, to just be a woman, to be feminine, to be soft. It creates a level of vulnerability that is often uncomfortable, but it's necessary. I'm in a season where I just want to make our house a home. You know, I want to serve my husband. I want us to just do things together. I'm in a nesting mode. I'm nesting. I'm getting the house together. I'm creating the life, the atmosphere that I desire, so that we can have peace. The man provides the house, but the woman makes it a home. That's Dr. Miles Monroe. He said, anything in life, if you give a woman something, because of how we were created, we'll make it into something else. If you give a woman a house, she'll make it a home. If you give her a seed, she'll make it a baby. You understand? So we are incubators. We incubate and we create. So I'm in a place where I'm real domesticated right now. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm real domesticated, and I'm not ashamed. Now, if you'd have caught me 3 years ago, that would not have been me. I was on big chick energy. Listen, I've always been feminine. I've always been that, but not necessarily like this. See, when you have got to be the boss all the time, and I don't know why people don't get this, but women who have to be the boss all the time don't want to be the boss at home. They don't. They don't. We want somebody to be the boss. We want somebody who can make decisions. We want that. We crave it because why? We have to do it all day out there. So when we come home, we want to just be, just want to be, right? And as women of color, we often aren't afforded the opportunity to just be feminine and protected and provided for and cared for. And so we tend to operate in that energy of we're the protector, we're the provider, we're the caretaker. We're operating in that energy. And the problem is that when you have a masculine man, that energy right there make him feel like you don't need him. It diminishes his feelings of manhood. He don't like it. So when you operate in that energy, I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm going to say it. When you operate in that energy, you usually will end up with a man who is softer, more sensitive, more you lead, because you're so good at it. You lead. And that seems good for a minute. Then you tired and wore out from figuring everything out. And then you're going to have to make some decisions. Look, if I could share anything with you all today as we talk about who said, right? If I could share anything with you, it would be this. Be who God created you to be unapologetically. Man, don't be afraid to lead. If a woman doesn't give space for you to lead, y'all need to have some conversations. Y'all need to talk about some stuff. Y'all need to get to the root of some things and see what's going on. This is what I do know. And I know this for sure and for certain. God can turn anything around. It doesn't matter what it is right now. He can turn it around. It doesn't matter how bad it's been. He can turn it around. God is a master in reconciliation. In fact, when you talk about one of our greatest ministries, it's the ministry of reconciliation. We're called to a ministry of reconciliation, to reconcile relationships. Like it should not be all this division and infighting and all that. We're called to a ministry of reconciliation, reconcile. As much as it's in your power, live at peace with all mankind. Now, that don't mean become a doormat and let people walk all over you. Not at all. You ain't got to beg nobody to love you, like you, or be your friend. Not at all. You do your part, and everything else is on them. It's on them. You ain't got to carry the weight of it, but you've done what you needed to do. So you're in right standing with God. You can look at God and say, God, I did what you said. Their response, not my business. And don't internalize it, because the moment you internalize it, then it becomes the reason why you don't fool with them. This is why I don't fool with them now. You understand? Don't get caught up in it. That's a level of maturity that many of us have not gotten to. But it's a level of maturity that is required in this walk. It's required in this journey. It's required. It's required regardless of your religious beliefs. It's required. Why? There's an understanding that until you get to that place, other people's reactions, words, and behaviors will move you and shift your mood, shift what you do, shift how you respond. It will shift you until you come to the place where you are solely responsible for your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your behaviors, your words, and you do not allow other people's stuff, words, thoughts, actions to dictate your response. Does that mean be insensitive and just, no, it doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is you don't allow, because somebody else got mad and they did something to you, that you do it back. You don't have to. You don't have to. You can't get to a place of great love, great peace, great joy, great wealth, great health doing that. You can't get there. You can't. You cannot get there with those responses. You can get kind of close, but you can't get there. I don't care what religion it is, any of them. If you begin to look at it, they talk about becoming one with the source, right? They talk about becoming one with the source. And guess what the beauty of this is? We know that our source already resides inside of us, right? And because he's inside of us, this is why there's this disconnect, right? There's a disconnect because there's an emphasis on you, right? There's an emphasis on you. But what has happened is the world will make the emphasis on you without understanding or acknowledging that it is the source in you that allows you to be you, created you, formed you, shaped you, fashioned you, you know? But so they say, look within, which is right. That's right. Why? Our source is within. When we look within and we find God in us, not God outside of us, then we can do the work on us necessary. Why? The source of the change, the source of our shift, the source of our strength, the source of our joy, the source of our peace, the source of our love, the source of our wealth, the source of our health. Everything is in us because our source resides in us. It doesn't mean that God is not important. But the world will always pervert what God has created and ordained. Check this out. Adam and Eve had the characteristics of God. They were made in God's image, his likeness. We have God himself in us. Adam walked with God. But we walk and God walks in us. You understand? So who said that you can't anything? And why would you believe it when you have God DNA and God inside and God power and God voice? You need to know who you are. Because once we know who we are, no longer will we allow fear, anxiety, anger, hatred, resentment, envy, jealousy, any other fear, no other negative emotion will you allow it to take you over, consume you. I'm not saying you won't have emotion. Jesus was angry and flipped the tables. You turn my daddy's house into a den of thieves. He had a righteous indignation. Righteous indignation. Flip the tables over. Crack the whip. Get out my daddy's house. I'm saying you won't have emotions. I'm saying your emotions will not control you. They will not consume you. Who said you have to let them? We're in a season of our life where our decisions are going to determine whether this accelerated season that we're in results in us getting to destiny, or we find ourselves in another delay. The only one who can delay you is you. And any delays you've experienced, if you trace it, it's going to go back to you, back to decisions, choices, maturity, emotional intelligence, positive intelligence, ability to recognize and identify your gifts and to walk in them and operate them, how concerned you are with other people and what they think. Good morning, Daddy. Corey said, I grew up in church, but a lot of my deliverance and breakthrough came in a Zoom room and a prayer closet. A lot of churches ain't churching. So when you find a church, listen, appreciate it. When you find solid teaching, sound doctrine, appreciate it. Because everybody ain't got it. I remember when God took me out of the church. There was a season when I was out of the church. I didn't want to do no church. I didn't want to be bothered with no preachers, pastors, apostles, prophets, evangelists, teachers. I didn't want to be bothered with them. They didn't want to be bothered with the church folk. I didn't want to be bothered. Because in my mind, all y'all on that ish, okay? And God said, I want you to pastor again. I don't want a pastor in the... Listen, I ain't never asked a pastor. I didn't ask for it because I don't want to deal with people like that. God, you know, people ain't... I be trying to tell them, you know, these hoes ain't loyal. Why am I be putting all my energy, my effort, my finances, my prayer, my word, all of that in, and then they ain't doing their part? Why am I going to do that? Why would I do that to myself? He said, I need you to pastor. I said, I don't even like pastors. I said what I said. I said, I don't even like them. 98% of them fake, phony, hypocrites. Say one thing, do another. Live one life publicly and another one privately. I don't like them. He said, well, guess what? You finna be one of them. So you get to decide, are you going to be in the 98% that you're talking about or the 2%? Your choice. But you get ready to do it. And I did. Then he said, I'm sending you back into church. And I said, I do not want to go. And I went. And I served. And then he said, I need you to come out. I need you to focus on your stuff. I got some stuff that I need you to do. So I left. And it was and I left right. I did everything that I would have told someone to do if they were exiting my ministry. That's what I did. And it still was an issue. So I said, okay, God, see, this why. Y'all know this why. I said, we're not doing that. I had to grow. See this, listen, a lot of stuff that you're dealing with has less to do with the other person or other people than you think. It's really about God maturing you, getting you to a place where your response is in alignment with him. Just because you say you ain't got no problem with nobody or you ain't got no attitude don't mean you don't. Just because you say you good don't mean you are. we've got to learn that people's response ain't our business. What's our business is ours. Our response and what we do. Our love, our forgiveness, our grace, our mercy. That's our business. Their stuff is their business. That's their business. When we get that, then we free ourselves up from our behaviors, reactions, responses, and emotions being driven by other people's behaviors, choices, actions, words. They shouldn't dictate us. We ought to still be able to flow. Allow the God in us to flow. Operate in our God DNA and flow. Flow in love, joy, peace. That's how you bring everything to you. Is when you are flowing in God. That means that when it's up, you up. When it's down, you still praise Him. You praise Him no matter what the situation or the circumstance, in the good and the bad, you praise Him. Because all of it is working together for your good. Who said? Who said that you can't have everything that God has promised you? Who said that? But this is the truth. You can't have it doing old stuff. You got to allow God to create in you a clean heart. Let Him purify you, sanctify you. And I firmly believe, with all of my existence, that some of our greatest sanctification comes in marriage, because it be like this sometimes. You be like, ouch, ouch, oh, wait. Oh, that's wrong. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. But it's designed to sanctify us. Relationships provide a place of sanctification because there's agitation that occurs that's designed to grow us, but we have to grow through it and not get caught up in it. We get caught up in it, and then our emotions go all crazy and stuff. Who said? Who said this is it for you? Who said that that's not better? Who said that it's over? It's not. For the next 6 weeks, well, not the next 6 weeks, but starting April 3rd, it's really 7 weeks, y'all. It's really 7. If you count the weeks, it's really 7. That first week is like orientation, right? But from April 3rd to May 8th, from, check this out, 4-3, which is what? To 5-8, right? 4-3 to 5-8. We are doing the No More Sabotage 6-week supercharge, where we really work on us. We really deal with the stuff that has held us hostage, prevented us from tapping into who God has created us to be, who we really are underneath all the other stuff. And you can register by going to bit.ly/No More Supercharge 1, bit.ly/No More Supercharge 1. Go register. Now check this out. You and a friend can register. And I'm going to run this. Let me see. Through Friday at midnight, you and a friend can register under the $500 one. And both of you will get, listen to what I'm saying. Both of you will get the regular, but there's going to be a $500 option that's an option for 2 people. But you got to register at the same time. It's a $500 option, but it's for 2 people. You got to register at the same time. and watch what God does when you do it with someone. I'm excited about that because I just believe that for couples, it does something amazing because it gives you a language to talk about things in, and it gives you insight into why you do what you do, or why you believe what you believe, or why you operate the way you operate. And it'll allow you to kill the things that you need to kill so that you all can be on one accord. It's an amazing experience. I know my husband and I both have been doing the no more sabotage, right? We identify our saboteurs, our PQs. Listen, and we'll talk about it. We're like, oh, I'm slipping. Oh, you're slipping in that look like that saboteur. Let's not let it take over, right? So in love, not in a vindictive or, yeah. So register. I'm going to set that up today. The other promotion is still up there till I take it down. I'm taking it down today. So if you catch it, you catch it. If you don't, you don't. But I'm excited about it because I just believe that we're in a season where the sooner we deal with us, the sooner we can get to our destiny. The sooner we deal with our stuff, our issues, the sooner we can move forward. It's all about identifying, understanding, addressing, and destroying those things that are not effective and productive in our lives so that we can walk in the things that are effective and productive. Don't miss what God is doing because He ain't done yet. Listen, I pray this word blessed you. I pray that you got something out of it. I pray that you heard the voice of God in the midst of it all. And you were able to take some things that you can use to get you through today. Who knows what you're going to encounter today where you need to be in control of your emotions and your response. Check your responses. Don't let your emotions rule you. You rule your emotions. Look, you all can sow a seed at Cash App $DRV Johnson 777. Cash App $DRV Johnson 777. Listen, I'm excited for what God is doing in this season. I love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an amazing, incredible, and epic day. Be blessed. Mwah.